Hi, Jim Van Zant, one of the pastors here, Carlisle United Methodist Church, Sermon in 3 minutes. Thanks for tuning in. Have you ever gone through your day or your life and have a moment when God kind of breaks in? You had that kind of God moment where something just captured your attention and you thought about God's presence? Well, that happened at the very first Pentecost. It's recorded in the book of Acts, and we just celebrated the Pentecost moment just last week here at CUMC, as many churches did. That's the moment when God breaks in. There's a giant God moment, and the disciples are swept up by the Spirit of God, tongues of fire on their head. They're speaking the truth about Jesus in languages that aren't even their own, but people from all over the world gathered in Jerusalem for the Festival of Weeks. They all hear the truth about Jesus Christ. It's in that moment that the church is born. The church is born in a moment, in a God moment when God breaks through. That God moment that breaks through with His Spirit to give confidence and give courage, direction, and purpose, not only to the disciples, but to the church as it is born. There's a marked change in the lives of the disciples before Pentecost and after the moment of Pentecost. And in fact, there are several Pentecost-like moments all through the book of Acts. And the story of the New Testament is really the story not only about Jesus, but all the subsequent books tell the story of the early church, how they took this Spirit of God, fueled by the Spirit of God and the passion that He breathed into others of His disciples and apostles, and carried the message of Jesus Christ through His church for the rest of those days, even though the Roman government was out to obliterate them. And we today are their legacy, a living legacy of that work and that power. You know, God wants to break into our lives every day, every moment of our day, but often we're not looking, we're not paying attention, or we're concentrating in other moments. In order to understand and to feel the power of God, more often than not, we just have to kind of slow down for a few minutes. Take in the beautiful world that God has created for us. Just pause for a moment to give God the chance to reach in. I hope you'll do that this week, that you'll have some kind of Pentecost moment. Oh, it may not be tongues of fire and all of a sudden you'll be able to speak in a foreign language. It might be something small. It might be some issue you've been dealing with that you might get clarity on. It might be a peace that passes all understanding. It could just be a nice deep sigh of refreshment. But whatever it is, stop long enough this week to allow God's Spirit to touch your heart and your mind. Sermon in 3 minutes. Thanks for tuning in.